Hi, welcome back to CS170. I want to do another example for conditional formatting. Uh, see here, I think I should probably make this bigger here. So I'll go to here, zoom, let's do 200%. Alright, so hopefully this should be pretty good. So let's take a look at this. So we have something here. We've defined a lower and upper speed limit, and we have some cars going at various speeds here. Okay, so we want to kind of play around with these guys over here. We're back to here. You see the conditional formatting. And we're going to layer a few of these different things. So let's look for the ones that are going above the speed limit. So here, this is the upper speed limit. So I'm going to click on that. And you can see here, it put in $B, $2, which is there. Okay, and we're going to make that a red color. Okay, so that's good. So this is above 65, 67, 100, 75. Now let's go back to here. Let's add another layer here. So now we're going to look for things less than the speed limit. Less than the lower speed limit, I should say. And that is on this cell here. So I click on that, and we want to, I don't know what's the color. Maybe let's make that yellow here. And so there you see, 42 is less than 45, so that's why that's yellow. So let's get for things that are in the middle. So here you have between. Now you got two of these here. So the lower end is this one, and this one is the higher end. So it's between these. Let's make that green here. Okay, so there you go. You have like three different states here, right? So it's either below the speed limit, in between these two, or above the speed limit, and you get this. Okay, now let's mix this in a little bit. Let's calculate a fine here. So I'm going to create this as a fine column here, and remember we do a if, and what do we do with the if? We're going to do like a check here. So let's look for people that are going over the speed limit. So it would be this cell greater than this cell, right? Okay, so if that happens, what do we want to do? Let's calculate a fine. So let me do that cell minus that cell. So that's kind of just saying how many miles per hour over the speed limit we're doing, and let's charge them $100 for each mile that they go over the speed limit. Okay, and if they're not going over the speed limit, then they're all good. But that should be a $0 fine. Then let's close that up. Okay, so this one is good, right? Because they're within the speed limit, so no problem. But here, let's drag it down. But here, you have this, right? And what happened here? Why is this not working here? So for some reason, this became a B7 minus B6 when I did my fill here. Let's see what these other guys are here. B's. Okay. So this is good. I actually made a mistake here. So you see how the relative kind of works? This all adjusted as I dragged it down, but actually this is not relative. This is absolute. I need to keep this fixed here. So you remember when I do that, I have to put $1 here and $1 there, right? So that keeps it fixed. Then let me drag this down. And there you go. Okay. Now you notice this little gradient in here. This is kind of left over from when I was playing around with this before. So let me clear this out. Okay, so I want to reset this and kind of show you what we're doing here. Let me just center this up. Okay, so now we got a fine here. And just for the heck of it, let's put the $sign, make it a currency here. Okay, now let's go back to conditional. Now we want to go to here, right? These are called gradients, and I guess it's bad to have a fine, so let's kind of make it like a red color. Okay, so that's all this is doing. Let me click on this, and then we can come back to it in a second. So, you know, this were all zero, so there's nothing there. This is small relative to the whole number here, right? So it's 200, so it kind of had this here. So this is your max number here, that's why you had this. Right, but let's come back to here for a second, and let's see if we can take a look more at this rule here. And let's go to edit. So this is the only one that we applied here. Okay, and applies to this range. So let's do the edit rule here, and let's play around with a couple of the different options here. Okay, let's say I don't really need to see the numbers, I just want to see like the big things that will stand out. So I can do show bar only, and let's do an apply, and you can see what happened there, right? So you're just seeing like the colors there. And I'm gonna go back to here. I do actually want to see the numbers, so let's leave that there. Let's do a solid fill instead of a gradient fill. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so you see what happens here? It's all the way through instead of like, well, gradient, right? So I'm gonna put that back. I like the gradient fill actually, so that's pretty good. Let's see here. Let's do maybe a 3 color scale. Let's see what that looks like here. Okay. So kind of apply these different colors here, however you want to look at it. So this is kind of like looking at it as a positive number. So it's kind of like saying, well, okay, on the one end you have 0, which is like a red, and then you kind of go, it's almost like red, yellow, green, right? Red, amber, green, I guess. So you start off from the low end, it starts off with this color, changes to this color in the middle, and then becomes this color all the way at the end. In this case, it's kind of inverted because the fine, we consider that to be a bad thing, but you can take that how you want to do it. So let's see, if we flip this around, let's say we want to start at the low end, like a green is a good thing, right? And then we say like a big fine is a bad thing, so let's make that the red. So we're kind of flipping it around. Right? You could play around with the highest based on percentile or whatever, right? So here's the minimum, the midpoint, and the maximum. All I did was flip it around because we're saying a high value in this case is a big penalty, so that's not good, right? So let's apply that. And you got this, okay? I kind of don't really like it this way, but it's just one way you can do it. So let me come back to here. I'm going to edit this rule, and let me go back to data bar. I kind of prefer that view better. And I still think red is a good color here. So let's go there, and let's apply it. And this is what we had before. So it's just a preference, however you want to play around with it. But this is what they mean by doing a gradient. Okay, gradient. All right, I had a solid fill before, and apply like that. Okay, so you know, obviously you can play around with the directions on this, the min value, the max value, like what you consider to be like a percentage in between and stuff like that. That's really up to you how you want to slice up this data here, right? So, but you really look at this, when you look at gradients, you look at this in terms of like a range of numbers, let's say. and then go from one end to the other and figure out how you want to represent that. Okay. On this side, remember this is basically the same thing as the conditional formatting that we've done in a couple other videos. You can play around with different things there. Let me come back to here, manage rules. So you can see the different ones here. Right? You can play around with it however you feel like doing it. Right? So the between, the less than, and the greater than. Okay, you can edit one of these if I want to change it. You remember in the last video, I played around with this by doing a formula because I want to do like an and statement to cover multiple columns. In this case, we're only covering this, so that's why you can do this. So you can have all kinds of flexibility. It's just a matter of playing around with it. So take a look at this, see how this works for you, and do let me know if there's any questions. Okay, great. Thank you.